हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी, धन्यवाद प्रणाम।
धन्यवाद प्रणाम। परमा माता जी, हरे कृष्णा।
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी, धन्यवाद प्रणाम। जय श्री प्रभुपाद।
धन्यवाद प्रणाम प्रियंका माता जी, हरे कृष्णा।
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी, धन्यवाद प्रणाम। जय श्री प्रभुपाद। गुरु महाराज।
धन्यवाद प्रणाम हिमांशु प्रभु, हरे कृष्णा। We will begin. ओम अज्ञातमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानञ्जना शलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपा कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातां सहगणा रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगणा ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितंश्च हे कृष्ण करुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धु जगत्पते गोपेशा गोपिका कान्ता राधा कान्ता नमस्तुते। तप्त काञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वंशाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यैव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्ता स्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। मुखं करोति वाचालं पंगुं लंघयते गिरिं यत्कृपात्तमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुं दीनतारिणं परमानन्दमाधवं श्रीचैतन्येश्वरम्। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्यं नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरये। नष्टाप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तमा श्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्ठिकी। कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकी नंदनाय च नंदगोपाकुमाराय गोविंदाय नमो नमः। So today we are reading from the 6th chapter of second canto. I mean, discussing from the 6th chapter.
Your voice is very low to me.
Yeah, that's problem with me. There's not a problem with the system. I will buy a mic, bro. I'll try to speak little louder.
No problem, Rajesh.
Okay, 1 second. I think I can do something.
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी, धन्यवाद प्रणाम।
Dhanvat pranam, Hare Krishna. Yeah, how is the voice now?
Better, Prabhuji.
Mm.
Thank you. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Okay. So reading from 6th chapter, 2nd canto. The name of the chapter is Purusha Shukta confirmed. This is a continuation of the discussion between Brahma and Narad Muni. Narad Muni goes to Brahma. I mean, there is a conversation. Sutta Goswami and Sonak Rishi and the sages of Naimisharanya. Then Sutta Goswami is quoting the conversation between Maharaj Parikshit and Sukadev Goswami. There, Sukadev Goswami asked Maharaj Parikshit about the process of creation. Then Sukadev Goswami is quoting the conversation between Brahma and Narad Muni. So this is the third level conversation. Bhagavatam goes up to sixth level of conversation. So here we are discussing the conversation between Brahma and Narad Muni. Narad Muni asked Brahma 6 questions we discussed last week. The summary of those questions was um, please tell me about the characteristics of the universe, uh, describe the process of creation, how is the universe conserved, um, who is the ultimate shelter of this universe, what are the core ingredients with which this universe is made up of, and like this, 6 questions were asked around the universe. Then the last chapter further described. Um, mm, and then Narad Muni also says to Brahma that you are the one, you are the light, you are the star, everything is you. Is there somebody superior than you? Anybody in any problem, you go and resolve it. The whole creation appears to come from you. Even the Lord, even like Varahadev also come from your nostrils. We came from you. The whole universe, you are the original living being. How did you create everything? Is there somebody beyond you? And it feels like there may be somebody beyond you, because you perform austerities. If you are the supreme, then why would you perform austerities? Severe tapasya. Um, mm, but then there is nothing visible. So are you the creator and are you the supreme personality? Is there somebody beyond you? So then Brahma replied that he immediately, naturally, Brahmaji is a pure devotee of the Lord and he does not have any false ego and he does not want any credit. So he immediately started giving credits to the Supreme Lord Narayan. And he says, let me first offer my obeisances to Lord Narayan, to Lord Mahavishnu, because of whose illusory energy one thinks me as the creator or one thinks me as a supreme, but I'm only the secondary creator. And the primary creation of the universe is done by him. And whatever I'm able to do is because of his empowerment upon me. And then how the actual creation takes place, then Brahmaji describes in the previous verse, in the previous chapter, we discussed um, from um, Karana Dakshai Vishnu, we discussed in detail how there is Mahatattva that comes and um, mm, the 3 modes are created. Then false ego, mind, intelligence are created, and then um, from subtle to gross, um, first sky and then air and then fire and then water and then earth, and these were created, and using all these ingredients then the universes were created, and after 1000 years the universes were like dead shells, and then the Lord entered into each of the universe and light at the bottom of the universe filled the half of the universe with his sweat, and that is called Garbo. The ocean and the Lord who is residing expanded from Karna Dakshai Vishnu is called Garba Dakshai Vishnu. And then how he manifested himself in his Virat Rupa. As soon as the Lord entered, now there is activity in the universe. They were dead animals, but they were enlivened as soon as the Lord enters. Just like a body, when the soul leaves the body is termed dead and the body is not conscious. Likewise, these universes, they are just like dead shells. But when the soul of the universe, which is in the form of Garbhodaksha Vishnu, when he entered, then the whole universe was enlightened. And now Brahma desired, let's begin the process of creation. So first he manifested himself as the Virat Rupa. And in the middle, some part of Virat Rupa was described, like the different planetary system, like Satyalok is the head, and the Patal Lok is the soul under the feet of the Lord, and then Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra are the head, the arms, the belly, and the legs of the universal form of the Lord. So this description was described, and now Brahmaji again continues describing how within the universe everything is created, and everything is created by this Virat Rupa, who is the manifestation of Garbhodaksha Vishnu. So that was the summary. Now, after the universal form is created, from the mouth of the universal form, now slowly we will see how all the ingredients come. Very, very beautiful chapter. Brahmaji is very, very devotional in this chapter. Very beautiful points Brahmaji makes. But first few minutes is more of a detail. So from the mouth of Virat Rupa, um, voice is generated. And now the universe has sound. And then from that sound, um, you know, somebody is needed who will control that element. Just like we say, okay, now this is a project under the temple, and now who will take care of this project? Okay, you take care of this project which is under the temple. Likewise, everything is coming from the universal form, but then there is somebody who is in charge of all those things to make sure they happen in a proper way. So from there is a Virat Rupa. From his mouth the voice is generated, and the fire god Agni Dev was meant to be the controlling deity of that sound. Then from his skin, and there are many layers within the skin has many multiple layers. So from the skin of Virat Rupa, uh, the Vedic hymns were produced. And from his skin of Virat Rupa also came the sense of touch. And this is slowly how all these things will come in. Right now, the universe has only the Virat Rupa and Garbhodaksha Vishnu. And Brahma is explaining how each of these things starts coming. Then Virat Rupa has a tongue, and from tongue comes various foodstuffs and delicacies, the ingredients of all those. Then Virat Rupa has not nostril. From nostril comes the air, and naturally Vayudev was later made the in charge of the air, but it was brought into the universe. The air first came into the universe by the breath of the Mahavishnu. Then the Lord through his nostril can smell. So from that sense of smell of Virat Rupa came the medicinal herbs like uh, um, like Sanjeevani Booty, by which Lakshman smelled and he came back to life. And all the trees, no, not the trees at this point of time, just the Ayurvedic medicinal herbs. One can be cured by smelling them. So that were created by the smelling power of the Lord. So we see in the beginning, there is no sound, there is no um, foodstuffs, there is no air, there is no herbs, and they are slowly coming from the Virat Rupa. And then the Ashwini Kumaras, who are actually the doctors, heavenly doctors, they were later made the in charge of these Ayurvedic science or medicinal herbs. Then from the eyes of the Virat Rupa, the form was created. In other words, these are all sense objects. The senses are the eyes, the nose, the tongue, the skin. These are senses, and the sense object are the sense of touch, the form for the eyes, the food stuff, taste for the tongue. So these are sense object. So the senses for us, the senses are attracted to the sense object, but these sense objects were also created by the Lord, by Lord Mahavishnu, by Lord Virat Rupa of Garbhodaksha Vishnu. Then from the Lord hearing ears, the sky and all kind of sounds, because uh, all the sound that travel in the sky, ether, and that was created. Then from the hair of um, um, Virat Rupa, the trees and the vegetation were created. And then there was electricity and stones and iron ores. Those were created from the nails of of Virat Rupa. Then from the arms of the Virat Rupa came Devatas, great demigods and the great leaders. They come from the arms. Then when when the Virat Rupa walks, when he takes the forward step, from that steps were created the planetary system. Bhulok, Bhuvalok, Swarglok, they were created from the forward step of the Lord. Then from the lotus feet of Virat Rupa came protection from all kinds of fears. And we know whenever there is fear, we take shelter of lotus feet of the Lord. Then from the genitals of the Lord came rain and came semen. And then all the progenitors, they were created from the genitals of the Lord. Then genitals of the Lord also gave rise to a form of pleasure that contracts the distress of begetting, like naturally childbirth, and that is a painful process. And also um, there are many things that comes with a childbirth, but if the process was not pleasurable, then who will take that much responsibility, and who will um, go through such a painful experience? But then there is some pleasure was created by the Lord Virat Rupa, the cause of pleasure, into the genitals. Then from the evacuating, which is the rectum of the Lord, um, hell, death, misfortune, envy, those things were created. Then from the back of the Virat Rupa came frustration, ignorance, immorality, all the bad things came from the back. Then from the veins of the universal form of the Lord came the rivers. From the bones of the Virat Rupa came the great mountains. From the belly of Virat Rupa is the resting place of materially annihilated living entities, or when the living entities die, for example, at the end of especially at the end of Brahma's day, when all living entities are annihilated in the planetary system below the Janaloka planet up to Swargloka. This is partial annihilation. All those systems are destroyed. Those living entities, they enter into the belly of Garbhodaksha Vishnu. So the belly is a resting place for materially annihilated living entities. Why it's called materially annihilated? Because living entities are eternal. But when the body dies, then they take rest in the belly of the Lord. Then from the heart of Virat Rupa came the subtle body, which is mind, intelligence, false ego. They were emanated from the heart of um, mm, 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 heart of the Virat Rupa. And that's how the subtle body for us also living entities. The subtle body is within our heart. Because the soul is within our heart, and the subtle body is the covering of the soul. That is also within our heart. And the consciousness of Virat Rupa um, um, came the religious principles, the transcendental knowledge, divine knowledge came from the consciousness. And when our consciousness also um, When we follow dharma and practice transcendental knowledge, act on that knowledge, then our consciousness become merged into the supreme consciousness, or we become Krishna conscious, in other words. So now one interesting point, this sound, water, um, ether or sky, all these elements were already created outside the universe. And they were created outside the universe by the glance of Karnadakshay Vishnu. This is very interesting. Try to hear attentively. So from Karnadakshay Vishnu, all these elements were already created, and using these elements, the universe was formed. But within the universe, all these elements were again brought in through the Virat Rupa. And then another interesting principle is from the Virat Rupa comes the demigods, like Mitra, Agni Dev, the in charge progenitors from the genitals of the Supreme Lord. So they are coming from the Virat Rupa, but they manifested through Brahma's creation. So there is primary creation. Um, how do we explain that? So when originally they were created from Virat Rupa, everything is created from Virat Rupa, the Lord. And when Brahma ji created, later on we will see, then there is Kashyap Muni and Aditi Devatas came, and then they went and they resided in that part of the Virat Rupa. But they were already created by the Virat Rupa. just the one way to understand. Arjuna was fighting the battlefield. Arjuna was killing them, but they were already killed by the Lord. The Lord said, I have already decided everything, Arjuna, you become an instrument. Likewise, Brahma became an instrument of creation, but everything is the whole creation is already by the Lord. That's why Virat Rupa, Brahmaji says later on that actually I seems to be the creator, Shiva seems to be the destroyer. We are empowered to do such things, but actually the Lord himself creates and Lord himself destroys and Lord himself maintains. Lord is the cause of all causes, but then we are just the empowered external representative for doing those things. But the Lord Mahavishnu is everything. And this he describes in the, and Brahmaji also says in the previous chapter, because of illusory energy one cannot see the Lord who is doing everything but who is invisible, and even I cannot perceive him. But he is the cause of all causes. But Arjuna could see when Krishna showed his universal form, and universal form was actually destroying. We saw that within the teeth of universal form, destruction was happening. The fire was created from the universal form. Everything was within the universal form of the Lord, but externally manifest through in this way. Another way we can see is like the body. The body is given by our mother and father, but actual our mother and father is Durga Devi is the mother, because she is the in charge of material elements. The material elements used by our mother gives us this body, which is direct cause, but then indirect cause is Durga Devi, because she is the in charge of all these elements, and the cause of her is Hari, is Narayan, is Krishna, because she comes from Srimati Radharani, who is Haladini Shakti of Krishna. So Brahmaji says, like, you are the cause of all causes. There are many causes. Durga is the cause, our parents are the cause, and there are many causes of everything that is happening. But the cause of all causes is Krishna. And this is what Brahmaji is trying to enlighten Narad Muni, try to understand the position of the Supreme Lord, and try to see that only he exists and nothing else. But it seems like everything is existing and he is not existing. It seems like that. And that is because of the illusory energy of the Lord. Okay. And then we'll resume. Then Brahmaji says, I, Shiva, we discussed this. I, Shiva, you, Narada, all the stars, all the planetary system, 14 planetary system, everybody who lies in those planetary systems, like Gandharvas, Apsaras, Charanas, and Kuvera and Yakshas and the Jivas and Asuras and Devatas and whoever is deciding in all the 14 planetary system, we are all covered by the universal form of the Lord. So Brahmaji is telling, see Narada, you, me, I, everything is within this universal form. The universal form includes everything. It's covered by, just like one way to see is we are humans, but within us there are many living entities. There are many organisms. There are many bacteria within us. Likewise, we are all covered by the universal form. And if we hear the description of universal form, then sun is there, moon is there, the trees are there, and everything is there within the universal form. So Brahmaji is explaining how the Lord, everything he is doing, but we cannot perceive him. And then another concept. This is very beautiful concept. Actually, when I first read, before when I read Bhagavatam, I read it, but this time it was more prominent. Um, um, this is very nice. Brahmaji says the sun illuminates his own planet, and then the sun illuminates the whole universe. The whole universe has one sun. So illuminates externally, and the sun illuminates internally also. So likewise, the Lord, he maintains outside of his form, and he maintains both within and outside of his form, which further explain. I will explain two concepts, and then this verse will be clear. One concept is called Ekapad Vibhuti. Ekapad Vibhuti means another concept is called Tripad Vibhuti. Now, the Lord opulence within this universe is called Ekapad Vibhuti. And Lord opulence is like how everything is coming from the Lord. And it is also mentioned here also about the sun as an eyeball. One of the eyeball of the Lord is the sun. And from his head hairs comes the cloud, and there is various other description also. That was the summary that we discussed. Now, this same thing is described by Krishna in Bhagavad Gita in the 10th chapter. Among this, I am this, among this, I am this, among this, I am this, which basically Krishna is referring that everything that you see, Arjuna, is coming from me through my universal form. And whatever potency anybody has, whatever destruction, whatever creation, whatever anything that exists, whether it is fame, beauty, or speech, fine speech, other things, whatever it is, Arjuna, I am the cause of everything. And then that chapter is called Vibhuti Yoga, which is the opulence of the Lord within this universe. Then later on, Arjuna says, my Lord, this is so wonderful that how everything is created by you, and you are the cause of all causes, and whatever is happening is by your mercy. That Virat Rupa that is manifested from Garbhodakshai Vishnu, from whom the whole creation takes place from the beginning, and who maintains everything and who destroys everything, and who is the Lord of the soul, the super soul of the universe. I want to see that form. Here Brahma is telling to Narada, this is how Virat Rupa manifests. Arjuna, Krishna himself was telling Arjuna, listen about my opulences, my vibhuti. Arjuna was very intelligent. Arjuna says, why not? Can you show me that? Because he wanted to teach to the less intelligent people, hey, this is the reality. This is not some imaginative concept. And that's why, all this thing is actually covered in Bhagavad Gita itself. Bhagavad Gita is concise and complete. And one chapter out of 18 chapters, two chapters actually, chapter 10 and chapter 11, two chapters are dedicated to explain this concept. First in words, then the visual, and then the description by Sanjaya and Arjuna, and Sanjay and Arjuna, description by them. And a description by Lord himself. Lord himself described, just see my opulence, O Arjuna. Now take the eyes. Now see all these things. And Sanjay said, wow. Arjuna said, wow. And they started offering obeisances. So this is called the Vibhuti of the Lord within the universe. It's also called Ekapad Vibhuti, means one portion of opulence. of the Lord, which exhibit within the universe. Three portion of the opulence or vibhuti of the Lord is manifested spiritual world. Specifically, word uses the kingdom of God. Here, Brahma is enlightening Narada, and this is the importance of disciplic succession. Our disciplic succession comes from Brahma to Narada to Vyasadeva. And in this chapter, Brahma is also giving a hint. Later on, he describes about Brahma only describes about the description of Vaikuntha Loka in the third canto, but in the second canto, he is giving a just a minute description. He says, "See, my dear Narada, my dear son Narada, what I explained to you last chapter, continuing to this chapter, is Ekapada Vibhuti, one portion of his opulences. Three portion that I will describe later is manifested in the kingdom of God. Why it's called three portion? Because Brahmaji says to Narada, this whole universe, not just this universe, the entire material universe is together. This whole material manifestation is 1/4 of the kingdom of God. Kingdom of God is 3 times than this. And that's why that is called Tripad Vibhuti, 3 portions. This is called Ekapad Vibhuti, one of total portion, and 3 times 3/4, 1/4 and 3/4 is this description. And now with Brahmaji refers to the sun. Sun illuminates his own planet and outside. Likewise, the Lord opulences are manifested in his own kingdom and outside his kingdom, which is the material world, or like everything is maintained, and whatever exists anywhere, up and down, the Lord is there. Then some Brahmaji gives Narad Muni some conceptual understanding of where you are, Narada, and the kingdom of God. He compares material world versus spiritual world. He compares. So Brahmaji says, Narada, in this Ekapadi Bhuti, in this universe, there is cycle of birth and death. In the kingdom of God, there is no birth and death. The jivas are eternal in their spiritual body. The residents here, they are Griha Medhis. Griha Medhis means generally, other than pure devotees or very advanced devotees. Griha Medhi means attached to one's own family, kingdom, opulence, other things. And they are Abrihadvratas. Abrihadvrata means the resident within this universe, they are not able to keep the vow of celibacy. Brihadvrata, Brihadvrata is the greatest vow. It is explained that there are many vows. And I can take a vow that I will not eat anything on Ekadashi to this Dwadashi. Happy Dwadashi to all of you. Suppose I take a vow I will not drink water also. Nirjal Ekadashi I will follow. Or I take a vow that people take many vows that I will barefoot I will go to this holy place and come back. Or I will visit all the yoga peeths in India or all the Char Dham. So people take various vows. Or I will take a vow that I will not speak. Some people have this, Mauna Vrata they take. So there are many vows, but this vow of celibacy is called a Brihad Vrata. And this word comes twice in Bhagavatam. One time it comes in Bhishma Dev. When Bhishma Dev took a vow that um, I will remain celibate throughout my life, then it is referred to as Brihad Vrata. Brihad, like we say Brihad Mridanga. So Mridanga is like what we play. Brihad Mridanga is like Saraswati Thakur says, the voice of Brihad Mridanga will spread all over the universe. Mridanga can go 2-3 blocks, but Brihad Mridanga is big Mridanga. And Saraswati Thakur says, Prabhupada quoted, that Brihad Mridanga is like our spiritual books. Our books will go. We say in the pranam mantra sometimes a Brihad Mridanga ki jai. So Brihad Mridanga means the books will go all over and will glorify the Lord. These books of Srila Prabhupada and our acharyas will go all over the universe and will glorify the Lord everywhere. and that's called Brihad Mridanga. So Brihad means big, and this Brihad Vrata is the vow of celibacy. And here it says people resident of this Ekapad Vibhuti of this universe will not be able to maintain, um, or they will be Grihamedis generally, and they will be Abrihad Vratas. They will not be able to maintain this vow of celibacy. But the residents there, they don't have any birth only. So there is no concept of all these things. Just doesn't this uh, Brihad Vrata, there is no need of Vrata. They are just attached to Krishna or Narayan. Um, and they are attached only to the Lord. That's it. So that is Tripad Vibhuti. Then the Lord is not inclined here. The Lord is more inclined there. And that's why Lord comes. And when Lord comes with his own entourage, with his own planet. Lord performs his own pastimes and Lord goes back. One devotee was mentioning, I like that example. He mentions like the president of America, Joe Biden. When he goes to India, he goes in his own plane and he takes his own car with him. And the car goes into the flight. When he lands in India, the car comes out of the flight and he travels in India in his own car. Although here it is left hand, is right hand driving. Still, or whatever, still the driver manages and he takes his own entourage in India when he goes. So this devotee was mentioning, imagine when the prime minister is taking wherever he is going to different nations, he's taking his own entourage. So Lord also when he comes, why can't he bring his own entourage, his own paraphernalia? So when Lord comes, Lord sends his own dham, his own devotee like Govardhan, Yamuna, his own associates like Radharani, Madhumangal, and his own home, his own associates, everything, the Lord comes along. So Lord is not very much inclined, and the Lord comes, and the Lord hardly comes, um, just mainly to reciprocate with the devotees. And anybody Lord defeat is also his devotees, whether it's Ravana, Hiranyakashipu, they're all devotees of the Lord, or to reciprocate with Prahlad, devotion, or Dhruva, devotion, Ambarish, devotion. So when there is bhakti or his own devotees, he comes. Otherwise, to perform his pastimes, he comes with his own antaraj, whether at Lord Chaitanya, whether it's Lord Ram, whether it's Lord Krishna. So Lord is only bhakti centered. Lord comes here, um, but generally Lord is not inclined in this world. But there, Lord stays forever. Vrindavanam Parityaja Padam Ekam Adi Gachati. The Lord does not take one step out of Vrindavan. He eternally resides in Vrindavan. So this is this is in Ekapad Vibhuti, all opulence, all material by nature. People are Grihamedis and Abrihad Vratas. They are not able to follow this principle. They're not attracted to the Lord, they're attracted to their own sense gratification. For them, they are more important and not the Lord. And the Lord is also not inclined. They are also not inclined, Lord is also not inclined. So Brahmaji is explained to Narad Muni. This is self-realization actually. This is like Prabhupada books. But Brahmaji is explained to Narad Muni. He's comparing Ekapad with Tripad. One portion of material existence with three portions of spiritual existence or spiritual world. Then here, the nature of the soul is they want to lord over material nature. They want to enjoy. Here, there, their natural tendency is they want to serve the Lord, perform pure devotional service. Here, every living entity is filled with fear because they're attached to material and they will lose that. So they don't want to lose because they are attached. And that's why everybody is filled with fear. There, fear is not present because shelter is there. And here also become fearless by taking shelter. Then here, people are present in avidya. They are living in ignorance. They are They are forgetful of who they are. There is no avidya. People have complete understanding of themselves, and they are in knowledge. Here in avidya. Here, souls are less in number. There, the souls are innumerable. Size-wise, Sandhini manifestation, which is the existential potency. Size-wise, this place is 1/4 and that place is 3/4. Satchitananda experience or the experience of bliss, knowledge, eternity, very meager here. very hardly anybody can experience, and those who experience once in a while, other than those who are descended from the spiritual world. It's a meager experience, Sachidananda. There, the experience of Sachidananda, the nature of the soul, is full. So in this way, um, Brahmaji, this is the nature of, like it is said, the father is the first guru, and he is also officially the spiritual master of Narad Muni. So although this was not asked by Narad Muni about spiritual world, he is asking about the creation, about this universe. But Brahmaji is going one step ahead, explaining Virat Rupa, and from explaining Virat Rupa, and then explaining that how Virat Rupa is the cause of everything within this universe. And then Brahmaji goes one step ahead and says, well, he is also the cause of the spiritual world, my dear son. Hear about that and hear about this. Hear about the comparison of living entities here and there. Hear what is there and what is here. So this is very wonderful. So then Brahma says the Lord creates and maintains this ekapar, this material universe, this one portion, 1/4 portion. Yet he is aloof, just like sun is aloof from heat and light. So sun is in his own planet, and heat and light is sent here, and we are all maintained by the heat and light. If we don't get right now, you are able to see me because of the sunlight coming from the window. So the temperature is maintained because of the heat produced by the sun. So the earth is maintained because of the sun, but the sun does not come here. Sun is aloof, although he maintains the whole earth by his energy. Likewise, the Lord is aloof in his spiritual planet, but by his energy he creates and maintains a portion. But the Lord originally, which is Swayam Bhagavan Shri Krishna, he is aloof from this. And this is what Krishna also says in Bhagavad Gita. That also comes in the Vibhuti Yoga section. This comes in the 9th chapter. There is some Vibhuti mentions. And name of chapter is the most confidential knowledge. And Krishna gives about his own confidential knowledge. And he says, I am, every living entity is within me. I am within the heart of every living entity, yet I am aloof. Everything rests in me, yet I am aloof. And this concept is further explained here by Brahma to Narada. That just like heat and light, yet the sun is aloof, but sun is providing. Likewise, the Lord takes care of everything by his expansion as Mahavishnu, or these three Purusha avatars, and he takes care of everything, but he is aloof, like the sun. Then Brahma says, Narada, not only spiritual, everything material also comes from him. And Brahma says, I will tell you my own realization. Then Brahma speaks something personal. Brahma speaks his own experience. Brahma says, my dear Narada, when I was born, none of you were there. And I was born from the lotus, and from that emanates from the navel of Garbhodakshai Vishnu. I was born from there, and I was in ignorance. And then I was asked to perform sacrifice. Then I knew from within my heart that sacrifice requires um, some brahmana, some priest, fire, grains, sacrificial altar, and so many things are required to perform a sacrifice, but nothing was there. I was just sitting on a lotus. And when I tried to know my source, where I'm coming from, I could only see the huge limbs of the Lord, which I did not even realize that these are the limbs of the Lord, but I saw the limbs of the Lord. And then when the Lord asked me to do tapa, austerity, sacrifice, then from the limbs of the Lord, these grains, priests, and they all were created. And it's like, the Lord, everything was created, the sacrificial altar, the ghee, and with that, I was able to perform the sacrifice. And all of you son, this progenitors Prajapatis like Daksha, and you are my 9th son, all my previous son like the 4 Kumaras and others, they are able to perform sacrifice by the same ingredients that I receive from the limbs of the Lord. So everything material that you can think, Narada, is also coming just from the limbs of the Lord. In other words, everything is created by the Lord. In other words, I am called as a creator. I may externally show myself as a creator, but actually everything material, everything spiritual, everything is created by, they are all opulence of the Supreme. Nothing can exist without him. And this is interesting. One may say, how can the priest come from the limbs of the Lord when the creation has not taken place? This reminds me of an example of Durvasa Rishi. When he was unhappy with Ambarish Maharaj, he took up a hair and he threw it onto the ground, and from there came a demon. There are many instances where the demons were created, or Mother Sita, or they were who were created from fire. So from the Lord directly, anything can come. Um, and that's how Brahma was able to perform some sacrifice, some austerity. And later on, and he performed them for the pleasure of the Supreme. And he didn't know who that is. And but later on, the Lord came and shook hand with Brahma, and he was realized by that. So the ultimate shelter of the whole universe is him only. And then Brahmaji says, me and Shiva are able to, specifically he says, yeah, me and Shiva are able to create and destroy only by his empowerment. And future chapters, we will also see that Brahmaji, this comes in third canto, I think, that Brahmaji prays for the creative potency. When Brahmaji understood who I am, and this is the Supreme Lord, and then he has the intense desire to create, the desire to create within Brahma was also given by the Lord within his heart, and he had that desire. And then that desire is given by the Lord, and the empowerment to fulfill that desire is also given by the Lord. Everybody is like a Katputla. The desire was installed within Brahma's heart by the Lord, and then Brahmaji prays to the Lord, my Lord, please help me so I can fulfill this desire. Then the Lord gave him the empowerment so he could do it. So that's why, so here Brahmaji said, Narad Muni, it's not me, it's him, the Supreme Lord, Narayan, Mahavishnu. Um, we do our part of creation and destruction, um, but we are able to do whatever is only by his empowerment. Then Brahmaji became very satisfied. He felt like he has answered about the creation. He described how the creation actually happens, and the whole creation process. Brahmaji, see, that's why we are Brahma Sampradaya. Brahmaji did not bring anywhere himself into the picture. He did not say that this is what my offering was. He actually gave every glory he gave to the Lord only in these two chapters. And that is the pure devotion of Brahma. Sometime we may somebody says, Prabhu, who did this project? And we may say, well, they helped, and then that's what I did and I did and I did. So sometimes we are very eager to take glories. But here we see that Brahmaji like purely a transparent via medium to give the real knowledge to Narad Muni. So a spiritual master does not cheat. He does not bring himself. He's transparent means he brings the glories of Guru Parampara and the Lord directly to the disciple. That's a bona fide spiritual master. So Brahmaji, primary creation, secondary creation, he said everything, and the answer to all the question was, he explained the physical process and who is the shelter, whom does the universe depends upon, how is the universe conserved, and all these things. Narayan, 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 Narayan. And then Brahmaji becomes internal. This is the last part. Brahmaji becomes internal, and Brahmaji says, I always hold Narada, hear about my practices. And Brahmaji says, I always hold the lotus feet of the Lord within my heart. The lotus feet of Lord is always present within my heart. And that's why my words are never false. Whatever I speak happens. Because the Lord is always there within the core of my heart, always. So Brahmaji says, Hiranyakashipu, tathastu. Then that words will become true. Later on, that Hiranyakashipu, Narsimhadev told Brahma, why such complex benediction? But whatever Brahmaji says happens. His words never go false. And he says, Narada, why? Because I always hold the lotus feet of the Lord within my heart. And because of that, my senses are never distracted. Previously, during creation, Brahmaji was distracted once in a while, once only. But the when the lotus feet of the Lord was fully manifested within the heart of Brahma, from then onwards, Brahmaji's senses are never distracted. and working of my mind is never faulty. Usually our mind have many mental concoction and we think in a certain way, we conclude a certain thing that is not actually true. But the working of my mind is never faulty. The way Brahmaji thinks, what he speaks, how he manages his senses, everything about Brahmaji is perfect. And Brahmaji is telling everything about me is perfect, but he is not taking credit for himself. He is telling, because I always hold the lotus feet of my Lord within the region of my heart, that's why I have these things. And we see that in Srila Prabhupada also. Srila Prabhupada says, I can never be touched by Maya. Prabhupada says, because I'm always praying to Krishna, Krishna, please protect me from your material energy. And Srila Prabhupada was also always meditating on the lotus feet of the Lord. And that's how Srila Prabhupada was empowered to do God's work, to do Krishna's work in the seven continents, in every town and village. Prabhupada could spread the seeds everywhere, and he could do God's work in just 10 years. That is empowerment. That is because Prabhupada always hold the lotus feet of the Lord within his heart. And then Brahmaji takes a very humble position. And Brahmaji says, see Narada, I come in a disciplic succession. I am directly a disciple of Narayan. My life is filled with austerity because first 100 years just austerity, and now also Brahmaji is performing austerity. I am worshipped by all living entities, even Prajapatis. I am expert in mystical powers. I mean, Brahmaji can do whatever he likes. He can go to Hiranyakashipu like this. He can go wherever he likes. He can give any benediction. He can do whatever he wants. Brahmaji has all. He can fly in the air, go to the sun. There are many, and he can do his own creation. He's a creator. So Brahmaji has all the mystic potential, like Hanuman has. Asti Siddhi ke data. Likewise, Brahmaji also has all the mystic siddhis. He's coming in a disciplic succession. His life is filled with austerity. He is perfect in self-realization. He has realized himself in a way. He is always situated at the feet of the Lord. He always considered himself as insignificant devotee of the Lord and everything. So he has realized his actual true position. He is worshipped by all living entities. And Brahma tell Narad Muni, see, I have all these things, yet I cannot understand the Lord. Although I am perfect in mystical powers, my words never go false. My senses are never distracted. My mind is never faulty. I come in a bona fide disciplic succession, directly a disciple of Narayan. Tene Brahma Hridayadi Kavaye. The Lord directly spoke to me. Still, I cannot understand the Lord. Brahmaji later on says Krishna also. People who think they understand you, let them think in that way. But I cannot understand you. Brahma is the topmost living entity sitting in Satya Loka, the leader of everybody of the whole universe. And he truly, humbly accept, my Lord, I cannot understand you. So, and Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, I know all living entities, but me, no one knows. No one knows me. When Brahma is in trouble, Brahma prays within his heart, he get the hell through various incarnation. Lord comes and pick the earth or kill Hiranyakashipu or perform and save the universe from this um, 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 mm, that Matsya avatar, he came from annihilation because of drowning. He says, so the Lord helps Brahma, but Brahma prays and Lord helps, but still Brahma cannot understand the Lord fully. He understands some part of it, how is the Lord creating, but the Lord is inconceivable to Brahma. So Brahma says, who thinks they understand the Lord, let them think in that way. I, whose words are perfect, whose senses are perfect, whose mind is perfect, who is filled with austerity, who is perfectly self-realized, who is worshipped by all the Prajapatis, who is coming in disciplic succession. I cannot understand him. And then Brahmaji says, even the Lord, not only me, even the Lord cannot understand himself because he is ever expanding. There is no limit to his opulences because his opulences are ever expanding. Um, Srila Prabhupada, devotee asked Srila Prabhupada, can Krishna create a stone that he cannot lift? And then Prabhupada, it's a very difficult, think about this question. Can Krishna create a stone that he cannot lift? Then Prabhupada said, yes, he can create a stone Um, so if the answer is no, he cannot create a stone, then there is something that God cannot do. If the answer is yes, he can create the stone that he cannot lift, so again there is something he cannot do. So the answer, you go either ways, the answer is God is imperfect. And that's how it's a rhetoric question. It's a challenging question basically to defeat somebody. Can God create a stone that he cannot lift? And then Srila Prabhupada says yes, he can create a stone that he cannot lift, and then he will lift it. And Prabhupada, the principle was, he will create, and then because his energy is always expanding, then he will lift it also. So the Lord, there is no limit to the Lord's opulences. So even I cannot understand the Lord, even the Lord cannot understand, because there is no limit to his understanding. Even he cannot understand himself. It's ever expanding. So let me just surrender to his lotus feet. That's my position. I cannot understand him, but I can surrender to his lotus feet because he is the greatest living entity. Everything is coming from me. And then Brahmaji says, anyone who surrendered to the lotus feet of the Lord, his material existence will be destroyed. His life will become all auspicious. This material life is inauspicious, but anybody who surrendered to lotus feet of the Lord, their life will become all auspicious. And they will be able to perceive complete happiness. Complete happiness. Then he says, then Brahmaji says, even myself, Shiva, and you cannot understand the limit of spiritual happiness. Brahma says, you know what the spiritual happiness is? Myself, Shiva, and Narad Muni. Narad Muni is also pure devotee. Brahma is a pure devotee. Shiva is expansion. Um, although touched by the culture of ignorance, still he is an expansion in Sadashiv form. So Brahmaji says, even I, Shiva, and you cannot estimate the limit of spiritual happiness. What to speak about demigods? Nobody can experience a spiritual happiness. Bewildered by the illusory energy, we can see only this material existence according to our ability. As long as we are here in this material world, we can only perceive this world to the best of our ability, or we can see through the eyes of scriptures, or we can experience a little bit here and there. But complete, perfect spiritual happiness, we in this material we cannot experience. Even Brahma and Shiva, when Brahmaji says, even I and Shiva cannot experience that. Although he is beyond us, although he is source of everything, and we and there is no limit, we still we can still try to glorify his activities and his various incarnations. And now the last two verses, Brahmaji concludes by saying, who can know him? Who can know him? First, Brahmaji says, although I am perfect in these things, I cannot understand him. Even he cannot understand him, because he is ever expanding. Um, so the only thing we can do is just surrender to his lotus feet. And by surrendering to his lotus feet, our life will become auspicious, and we will be able to experience spiritual bliss, spiritual happiness. But even I and Shiva and you, even we cannot experience complete spiritual happiness by living, because we perceive this material world best to our ability. Then he says, but some people can understand him um, to a great extent. Fully nobody can understand, but some people can understand him to a great extent. And those who are completely free from material hankerings and who have controlled senses, they can know him. Brahmaji says, those who are completely free from material hankerings. But if you see, our life is full of material hankerings. We are always hankering of, what do I want? What do I want next? What do I want next? Either it can be, if the hankering is only spiritual. But the thing is, most of us in the call will not have only spiritual hankerings. We may have some spiritual hankering, little bit, teeny bit, that I want to advance, I want to become pure, or I want to experience Satchitananda, or I want to remember Krishna all the time. There may be some spiritual hankering, but with that we have a lot of material hankering. I want this position, I want this house, I want this car, I want to get there, I want to go and visit that place, I want to do this and this and that. And when we see this material world, we develop hankering. Oh, I wish I could have it, I could enjoy that, or see, this is what I am lacking. So the living entity is full of material hankerings. And Brahmaji says, those who are free from material hankerings and whose senses are perfectly controlled, they can know him. And then the last verse, Brahmaji says, now I have answered all your questions and about the true understanding of the Lord, and about the spiritual world also, and about here also. And what we should do is surrender to him. And what is the way to know him is by becoming free from material hankerings and controlling our senses. Then he says, now let me describe the Leela avatars. That is the last verse of this chapter. Now let me describe the Leela avatar, the incarnation which perform various pastimes. Hearing about them will be relishable and very pleasing to the heart. And by hearing about those Leela avatar, whatever foul we have heard, whatever wrong things are in our ears and in our mind, by hearing about the Leela avatar, or everything material contaminating within our consciousness can be countered by hearing, which is very relishable, pleasing, and very purifying. So Narada, now hear about them. And the next chapter discuss about the various incarnations of the Lord, which is chapter 7. So that was the sum and substance of the 6th chapter. If there is any discussion, we can take now. Since it is time, we will not read any verse today.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, one question, Prabhuji. After speaking to Narada, you mentioned that Brahmaji becomes internal. And he mentions that I always hold the lotus field of Lord in my heart. So internal in the sense like he starts meditating again, is it, Prabhuji?
He's always meditating, and then he took a humble position, and while fully focused, he says, Narada, whatever I'm able to do is because I always hold this treasure within my heart, because of which my words are perfect, my mind is faultless, my senses are never distracted. And he's teaching Narada by his own example what Brahmaji has, Narada can also attain if he surrender to his lotus feet. What is the benefit of surrender to lotus feet? What is the benefit of meditating on the lotus feet of the Lord, taking shelter of the Lord, understanding the Lord's opulence, understanding spiritual world, understanding material world, and then understanding the Lord, and um, just take shelter of him. And what will be the benefit by taking shelter of the Lord?
Okay, Prabhuji. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Mata. Hare Krishna. Okay, anything else? Any other discussion, question, comment?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
Dandavat Pranam, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, thank you so much. No question, but sincerely very grateful to you. There were certain queries that I used to have when I was doing the reading seva for Bhagavatam on my own. So many of them, actually all of them got dispelled today. So very grateful about this reading seva of this chapter. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mataji. This is the glories of Bhagavatam. Bhagavatam is all purifying. Thank you. Okay, anything else?
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam, Jasna
Dandavat
Prabhupada.
Pranam, Mata. Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, always I have this question in my mind that Virat Roop is not actually existing, right? It's, I mean, it's material form, but is that the actual form which exists, or it's
Yes.
just temporarily while creating the?
Well, it is temporary, but it exists as long as the universe exists. It is there right now. It is always existing. But when the universe is dissolved, then naturally The Virat Rupa comes from Garbhodakshaya Vishnu. Virat Rupa enters into Garbhodakshaya Vishnu. Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, Shirodakshaya Vishnu also enters into Garbhodakshaya Vishnu. Garbhodakshaya Vishnu enters into Kanodakshaya Vishnu. And then there's a whole dissolution process. But because this Virat Rupa is not eternally existing, that's why it is considered as material or temporary by nature. But it is there. It's not an imaginary form, Mataji. It exists. It is real but temporary.
Okay. So, like Krishna has a purpose for this form is like just to whatever the things you said that from eyes came this different body parts came this. So that's the only purpose of Krishna for
Yeah,
creating that form.
everything is happening. Everything is destroyed because he's eating a living entity, so getting destroyed. He is constantly maintaining, everything is happening within his body. This whole universe is the universal form of the Lord. And he says we are all living entities, all 14 planetary system are covered by universal form. Krishna says all living entities are within me, but I'm not in them. Means in my universal form, they're all there, but I am aloof. So he is the one who's taking care of the whole universe. Mm. So without him, this universe won't exist, Mataji. He came and then he took that form, and now everything is functioning. And the purpose is to give us a chance to go back to the spiritual kingdom of Krishna.
Understood, Devaki, because this question came in my mind like as different Purusha avatars or different avatars. So those are the personified form, right? But this is not the personified form, something kind of
Well,
that
those are
was there
eternal
in my mind.
forms, like Lord Ramchandra, Narsimhadev. They exist in the kingdom of God. They exist in Vaikuntha planet, in spiritual world. They are eternal.
Mhm.
They come and they go, but universal form
Mm.
disappears, temporary, and then is again created when the universe is created.
Mm. Because like Mahavishnu, these are all Purusha avatars, right?
And
So
they are, yeah,
like that, we don't define under any category this universal form, right? That's what my thinking.
no category, yes, Mataji. Yes,
So it's unique, means unique form, right? Krishna's unique
yeah.
form.
And the
Mm.
body is also, there is material elements to it. But Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, they're all completely transcendental, spiritual, but it deals with matter. So it's a very unique form. That is correct.
Understood. Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Thank
Hare
you. Okay,
Krishna, Prabhu. One quick question, Prabhu.
then we'll do now. Hare Krishna.
So as Brahmaji mentioned to Narada, like only like nobody can understand the Lord, only pure devotee, who doesn't have a material desire. But I think Narad Muni and Brahmaji is also a pure devotee. But out of humility, he's saying like, as we know, like Lord is limitless. But still, they can understand because they are pure devotee. But out of humility, he's trying to explain to Narada that thing. And the second question is, as Mataji said, like, so that form, but when you talk about universal form, so it's not visible to anyone, correct, Prabhuji? It is not even Brahma cannot see, that form, but it's kind of covering to entire universe, all 14 planets, but not visible to anyone. So these are two questions, Prabhuji, if you can
Yeah.
clarify.
So yes, it is correct. The second question, nobody can see it unless Krishna give them the eyes like he gave to Arjuna, and that time even the demigods could perceive it. But otherwise, in general, it is not visible. Then answer to your first question, Prabhuji, actually no, even pure devotees cannot understand Krishna. They understand Krishna to the extent Krishna reveals to them. For example, somebody is a friend of Krishna in Sakya Ras. So they will understand one aspect of Krishna. They cannot understand maybe the Vatsalya and the Madhurya and other aspect of Krishna. So even Jiva Tattva, even pure devotees, they understand Krishna to some extent. Like one time, one devotee asked His Holiness Radhana Swami Maharaj, do you know everything? And then Maharaj says, we know Maharaj referred to a group of pure devotees. Maharaj said, we know whatever Krishna reveals to us. So it can be said that the only people who can understand Krishna to some extent is the pure devotees, like Brahma and Narada. But fully, Krishna says, nobody knows me in full. That is a fact, Prabhuji. Does it
So
answer?
not so not even Radha Rani, you can say, like because Radha Rani is
Radharani, I won't say, because she is Krishna herself.
yeah.
They are ek atma duhi dehadhari. They have become two for the sake of pastimes. There is no difference between Radha and Krishna. But otherwise, even the gopis cannot understand Radharani's love. So, or Krishna's love. So Krishna, nobody understands.
But based on the qualification, devotee can understand based on whatever Krishna revealed.
Yeah.
But
And
out of humility here, I mean, I would say Brahmaji is saying like, because how the conversation, I just missed that part, Prabhuji, how the conversation switched to the Leelas. I mean, just can you repeat that last portion, if you don't mind?
last portion, Brahmaji is just eager. No question asked by Narad Muni. He tell me about this. Brahmaji is going in ecstasy. And Brahmaji is telling about the Lord and Lord's. After opulence, now Brahmaji is just glorifying the Lord, the lotus feet of the Lord, keeping it in the heart, surrendered to the Lord, and he just want to speak more about the Lord. And he says, Narad Muni, I will tell you something, which is the Leela avatars of the Lord. Hearing that will create all auspiciousness. Your heart will be pleased. You'll be satisfied, and all the material contaminations will be removed. So this is the purpose of guru to a disciple, or a father to a son. They want to give questions already answered. Who is the universe? Who is the creator? Are you the creator? Those are all clear, Narad Muni. But Brahmaji wants to go one extra level and speak about Leela avatars.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Yeah, right.
Hare Krishna. Okay, so thank you all very much for joining. My obeisances to all of you. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripasindhubheva patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrinda ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Dandavat pranams. Thank you for joining. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much, Prabhuji. Dhanyavad,
Thank
Prabhuji.
you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
Hare
Thank
Krishna,
you,
Prabhuji.
Prabhuji.
Dhanuv pranam.
Prabhu, Hare Krishna. Dandavat. Hare Krishna.